Hello, this is Jennifer from the Jennifer Maker DIY and Craft blog. Today I'm going to show you how to make a smashing pumpkin paper bomb. So just watch this. Aren't they adorable? So they're flat, and when you drop them on the ground they pop up. And so this is really similar to my penguin paper bomb, but it's faster and easier to make. So to get the pattern, go to jennifermaker.com, which is my blog. And if you don't see the pumpkin on the cover, just use the search box to type in pumpkin paper bomb and hit return, and it'll bring you to a page that has everything about pumpkin paper bombs. Click on that link and you'll see the whole tutorial here. It gives you a background on how it works and a materials list, and as well as the free pattern and cut files for this, which are located in my free resource library. So you can click on the library. If you don't have a password yet, you can request it. Click here. Once you got that password, you just type it in here, and then you hit that enter button. If the site looks different when you visit it in the future, it's still going to be around somewhere. You can search for it and find it. Right now it's at the top of the list, but it will move down as I make new things because I'm constantly adding to this library here. Once you got the password to the library, you're in for as long as I've got a library, and you're always welcome to download files from it. In fact, I encourage it. So let's do this one more time so you can see. So here is our pumpkin, and you drop it and it pops up. It's really awesome, and I'm going to show you the magic behind this paper bomb. You can also change his face, as you can see here. So let's set this aside and let me show you all the things that you're going to need to make this. So we've got some tacky glue and a crochet hook, which is going to be used with the rubber band to get it around in the appropriate spots inside of your pumpkin. And then you're going to want to cut out the cardstock into very specific pieces. So these rectangles here, there's 4 of them. Those we're going to use for reinforcing parts of the pumpkin. This sort of crazy, it almost looks like the Enterprise from Star Trek, this shape that's down here, that's a mechanism. Then we have 2 larger roundish sorts of shapes, these 2 right here. These are the 2 halves of the pumpkin. These green things are the stalk, and I have some different designs. You get to choose the one that you want, plus the part that goes on top of the pumpkin. An extra tab mechanism, which I will show you how to use. And then, of course, all the black parts here, those are all the different faces. And I have I think there's 16 of them. Mix and match them, use whatever you want, make something different. They're all sized specifically for our smashing pumpkin so that you can have some fun. And what's cool is that you can't see the bottom part of the face when it's folded flat. So it's kind of a surprise what expression pumpkin is going to have after he pops up. Because as you may have noticed, one of my pumpkins looks quite happy to be bouncing around, and the other one looks very surprised, which I thought was fun, right? Okay, so let's move these things out of the way, and I'm going to show you exactly how to put this pumpkin paper bomb together. So let's start with the top of the pumpkin, which is this part here, which does not have a rectangle cut out of it. So I have used my Cricut to cut this, and if you look, you can see there's score lines, and these are built into the cut file if you use a Cricut to cut it. So first thing we're going to do is fold it. If you didn't use a Cricut or you didn't use your scoring stylus, you'll need to follow the directions in the PDF to see where to fold them. You may want to find another way to score them just so that you have nice, clean folds, because that's particularly important when you're making this paper craft. Now we're going to use our tacky glue to glue down these triangles on each end of and this is the bottom of this is the top of our pumpkin. So we're going to want to glue these down. So just put enough there. You don't want too much that it makes a mess. And hold that down. I'm using a fast grab tacky glue so that it doesn't want to just pop up. Regular glue will work. I happen to really like this brand of tacky glue. I find it very good for this type of paper craft, and it's very strong, and that's particularly important with a paper bomb. All right, so I'm going to speed this up so we can go through this a little quicker. So now these rectangles here, they're reinforcement strips that go over the top of those folded rectangles on either end of your of your paper bomb. And so you'll have 4 of these because there's actually, on the other half, you'll be doing the same thing. So now that we have that, we're going to fold in and up. That little section there is going to be our rubber band holder. It's really important that you fold it just as I'm doing here. Don't fold it the other way first to try to get a good crease. Fold it one way and one way only, and crease it well, and then glue it just as I'm doing here. These 2 tabs on either end will hold the rubber band. Now you'll notice I'm using a toothpick here to spread out the glue. Whenever I have something that's really important and really strong, or I just don't want to make a mess, use this toothpick or anything else that's small like this. A paintbrush would also be fine to get a good consistently thin layer of glue that doesn't want to just mush out at the edges and cause issues and mess for you. All right, so once those rubber band holders are glued, you want to fold in each of the 4, well, there's 6 of these tabs that create the bottom hemisphere of our pumpkin essentially, and then also the tabs at the top. And if you follow along with a photo tutorial on my blog, you will see exactly how that works too if you're having any questions. Now let's put on the green top to our pumpkin. Let's spread out that glue so it's nice and even, and we want it to be strong and look clean and neat too. And it goes right on top. You just, put it in between. You can see where it should go. And then pick a stalk, whichever one you want. I like this kind of bent one here, so you're just going to want to fold it. It doesn't have any score lines set for it. I didn't want to make it too complicated when you're cutting it out in the Cricut. So just fold it right there, so it's half of the shape of the green section that you just put on. And then you're going to put it right on top of it. And that's going to form the stalk of your pumpkin. And you'll notice I've got it bent so that it sticks straight up. And that's what you want. That's your goal. All right, so here's the bottom hemisphere of your pumpkin. You're going to do just the same thing that you did with the top one. You're going to want to fold in those triangles and then glue them down. I don't really worry too much about having a flat, consistent part on these triangles, because if there's a little mess, a little bit of glue that escapes, it's going to get covered up by those reinforcement rectangles, so it's okay. I really think that these reinforcement rectangles make a big difference in the integrity of the paper bomb, and it allows you don't have to use index thickness cardstock if you use these. And then again, you want to fold in your rubber band holders just as I'm doing here, and do that on both sides and glue them down. Yep, make sure that you glue down both sides. And once the rubber band holders are glued down, you want to fold everything at the score lines or at the indicated crease marks on the PDF if you don't have the score lines on your cardstock already. So there we go. This is the bottom of our pumpkin. Now let's work on the mechanism, which is made out of cardstock and is not terribly complicated. What you're basically going to want to fold it just as I'm doing here. So you're going to fold up both ends of those tabs in the middle. There are close-up photos of the folding of this mechanism in the blog, which may be easier to follow. The mechanism is very important for the proper pop-up of the penguin paper bomb. So it's a good idea to watch this video and read the blog tutorial first before you make it. So as you can see, I'm gluing the two tabs together on the mechanism. And then I take this orange rectangle, which has score marks in it if you scored it on your Cricut, and I'm gluing one end of it, and I'll be folding it all up into a small rectangular shape, kind of like the size of a chiclet, if you remember what those are. And that gets glued to the side of the mechanism. And this is the sort of a latch that that is going to keep your paper bomb flat until it gets depressed when it gets dropped on the surface. So it's very important that it be done correctly. It needs to be it needs to stick out a little bit and be flush with the top of the tabs, not the bottom. You can kind of see here that, again, there'll be more detailed photos on the blog, closer up photos. Now this second green rectangular piece is so that you can create a second tab to stick onto that first one that you made. I find that having extra depth actually really helps in making this mechanism work. So I gave you a second one. You are welcome to try it without the second one, but I just went ahead and glued it on for this video tutorial so that you can see how it works. On one, the first one that I showed you, it doesn't have one, and this one has it. They both work. All right, so now that we have that the mechanism and all its tabs glued, we want to glue it to the top of our pumpkin. So it goes on the inside top. Now it's very important that you put it in the right orientation. So put the bottom on to see where the rectangle window lines up to make sure that your tab is going to stick through it at the same angle, and then glue it down. I mean, you'll note that the two hemispheres of your pumpkin go together where the rubber band holders are. That's the 2 points at which they contact. So that's how you line them up, in case that wasn't clear. So you can also just follow it the way that I'm doing here, which is perhaps a more, which is an easier way. Just so you see, I have the two rubber band holders on the top and bottom of the screen, and I'm putting the mechanism so that it's in line with those. Okay, so once that's all in place, it's time to actually glue our pumpkin together. So we're going to glue the two rubber band holders on either end together first. So they get just put together just like this. Make sure that they're exactly lined up so that the little tabs that stick out on the ends are in the same positions, so that the rubber band doesn't want to get caught or stuck or not, hook over them properly. And then we do the other side. And once that is ready, we can go ahead and glue the tabs on the sides as well. And here I'm just putting the tab mechanism through the bottom so that everything is laying flat. So glue the tabs together on each of those four sides as well. There we go. So this is the pumpkin it's put together. As you can see, it's flat. You could put it into its shape right now, but it's not going to stay there without some tension, which is where our rubber band comes into play. First, let's put on a face. So I want this face to be sort of the opposite of my happy pumpkin. So I'm going to make this surprise face here, which is the second one in my mat. It's got two eyebrows, two eyes, and a big open mouth. So there's the happy pumpkin. let's make a surprise pumpkin. So just pick the spot that you would like your face to be. I tend to choose not one of the rubber band sides, but one of the other four sections. Instead, it's really your choice and what you'd like to do. I do think it's a good idea to put the eyes close to the bottom of the tabs, or the side panels, whatever we call those, and the mouth close to the top, so that when it's opened up, they are close enough together that it looks like a face. So as you can see, I'm putting the eyes pretty low down on the section. So let's get the other eyebrow on, and then I can show you where the mouth goes. And then we just turn that right over, pull that tab out so that it's all flat. But see, you can put it up in this, and then you can see where it is and see if that's a good spot before you glue it down, which I recommend, which I think that's a great spot, don't you? So just put a little glue on the back of this, spread it out. And then just put it into place. There we go, surprise pumpkin. So now we need to put our rubber band in so that it will hold it into the position that we want. Now this is the trickiest part of your paper bomb. There are detailed photos on the blog, so if you want to follow along, the first thing you do is drop your rubber band into the pumpkin so it wraps around one end of the rubber band holder, and you use your crochet hook or your other hook or whatever, your finger even, to wrap it around the other side of that same rubber band holder. So as you can see here, I'm holding it with my fingers. The rubber band is hooked around one end, and I'm going to grab it with a crochet hook and hook it around the end on the opposite side. This is the trickiest part. It might take a few tries. I definitely took a few tries when I was first learning to do this, and as you can see, I'm not getting it on the first try even now. So just be patient. You can definitely do this. It just takes a little extra effort. So there we go. Our rubber band is in place, and you can see that indeed it's working. Always test it. Now, if your pumpkin wants to fall over when it pops up, the best thing to do is to put a weight on the bottom. If you put too much weight, it doesn't bounce as well, so if you can get away with just one weight, I think that's better. I recommend a hot glue gun because it's going to work better than glue for, in this case I'm using a dime. So we're going to put that right on the end, and then we're going to pop it up and see if it works. And there we go. So now it's not falling over. You may have to experiment to get just the right placement and that sort of thing. Now, this extra hexagon with the rectangle in it is so that you can put it on the bottom of your pumpkin and cover up any weights that you put on. Because as you may have noticed, the first pumpkin I didn't do that, and you can see the dime when it bounces. And I think it's cuter if you can't see that. So that's what this is for. So we're just going to glue this really well and put it right over in the exact same position. Pay very close attention to where it goes in relation to the other rectangle that's there at the bottom of your pumpkin. You don't want to put it too off center or too far over, because that tab needs to catch on the side of your pumpkin in order to work properly. So let's give it a try and make sure that it's still working. There we go. So there are tips on ways that you can fix your pumpkin if it's not, the tab is not working properly, and that's all on my blog. And so here we go. We have our happy pumpkin and our surprise pumpkin. I think that these are so much fun, and you can definitely make these. They're a fun craft, loved by everybody. The paper bombs have been one of my most popular tutorials ever. Here we go. Here's another shot of our two paper bombs dropping. There's our happy pumpkin. And there is our bit surprise pumpkin. I'm thinking that, it looked like he was going to go head over heels for a second there. So get all of the files and the photo tutorial and everything that you need to make this over at jennifermaker.com. Please let me know what you thought of my tutorial and my video, and I'm always happy to hear suggestions on projects that you'd like me to teach you how to make. Leave me a comment over on my blog, right here on YouTube. Send me an email at hello@jennifermaker.com. I love to hear from you. And please subscribe to my channel so that you can be notified of my new crafty videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.